Hello, everyone. Recent surveys conducted in critical battleground regions indicate that Kamala Harris has made significant gains, now leading by up to 3 points in numerous essential swing states. We will delve into the latest polling data and begin to color our map, starting with states that are strongly Republican: Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska at large, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, South Carolina, West Virginia, and Maine's 2nd Congressional District. Focusing on the states where the Democrats traditionally have strong support, we find steadfast Democratic states such as Hawaii, California, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Nebraska's 2nd District, Illinois, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine's 1st Congressional District, and Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, Harris currently holds a 1.5-point lead over Trump, a slight increase from Biden's 1.2-point victory in 2020. Harris's chances in Pennsylvania are looking better due to her substantial support in urban centers like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, along with her appeal to the working-class voters in the state's industrial zones. In Michigan, Harris has a 2.3-point lead, slightly better than Biden's almost 3-point advantage in the last election. Her outlook in Michigan appears strong, supported by her popularity with labor unions and her efforts to rejuvenate the automotive industry, which have received broad support from voters. In Wisconsin, Harris leads by 1.6 points. The state was tightly contested in 2020, with Biden narrowly winning by about 20,000 votes. Harris is well positioned to win Wisconsin by ensuring robust voter turnout in Democratic strongholds like Madison and Milwaukee and gaining ground with suburban voters. Meanwhile, in Minnesota, Harris leads Trump by 6 points, just below Biden's 7.1-point margin in 2020. With her strong backing in the Twin Cities metropolitan areas and her forward-thinking policies, Harris is poised to secure a win in Minnesota, reflecting the state's long-standing liberal voting tendencies. In Iowa, Trump holds a 4-point lead over Harris, a narrower gap compared to his 8-point victory in 2020. Trump appears likely to clinch Iowa once more, drawing on his solid support from rural voters and farmers who value his agricultural and trade policies. In Nevada, Harris is ahead of Trump by a slim half-point margin. While Biden won the state by 2.4 points in the previous election, Harris's narrow lead in Nevada could be attributed to her strong backing from the fast-expanding Latino community and the support of influential labor unions in Las Vegas. In the fiercely contested state of Arizona, the electoral battle between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris is incredibly tight, with Harris currently holding a slight advantage in the latest polls. Despite Joe Biden's razor-thin win in Arizona by just 0.3 percentage points in 2020, the state remains highly unpredictable. Nevertheless, Harris has a good opportunity to secure a win if she can effectively connect with the critical Latino voter base and attract moderate Republicans from suburban locales. In New Mexico, Kamala Harris is currently ahead by 9 points over Donald Trump, mirroring the nearly 11-point win by Biden in 2020, showing a steady preference for Democratic leadership in this state. Harris's lead can be attributed to her popularity among New Mexico's diverse ethnic groups and voters who are deeply concerned with environmental issues, suggesting she's poised for a decisive win. In contrast, Alaska shows a different political leaning, with Donald Trump holding a 5-point lead over Harris. Reflecting on his solid 10-point win in the 2020 elections, it appears likely that Trump will continue to be favored. His strong connections with the oil and gas sectors, coupled with significant support from those in rural areas, solidify his strong standing in less urban parts of Alaska. In Texas, the race sees Trump establishing a 6.2-point lead over Harris, which aligns closely with his previous victory margin of 5.6 points in the 2020 elections. His focus on border security and energy policies finds a receptive audience among the conservative and rural voters of Texas, which bolsters his appeal in the state. Moving to Florida, Trump has carved out a 4.2-point lead against Harris, building on his 3.5-point win from 2020. His electoral strategy seems to resonate well once again, garnering support from key demographic groups such as the elderly, Cuban Americans, and residents of rural areas, all of whom are pivotal for clinching Florida's diverse electoral landscape. The contest in Georgia is closely fought, with Trump holding a slender 1-point lead. The state was narrowly won by Biden by around 12,000 votes in 2020. Trump's marginal lead suggests he could edge out a victory as he doubles down on mobilizing rural voters and emphasizing election integrity, which resonates strongly with his base. In North Carolina, the electoral battle is heating up, with Harris nearly bridging the gap on Trump, who is ahead by just 0.3 points. Trump's slim 1.3-point victory in 2020 shows just how competitive the state is. As a battleground, North Carolina is crucial, with both campaigns fiercely competing for swing votes. As the election approaches, Trump's stronghold appears firm among rural and conservative voters, yet his overall margin for victory might be narrow. In New Hampshire, projections show Harris with a strong 7.5-point lead. Although there are no 2020 figures to compare, her progressive policies and appeal among the state's educated, politically active population suggest she is likely to succeed. In Virginia, Harris enjoys an approximately 8-point advantage, similar to Biden's 10-point victory there in the last election. Her support from the diverse, densely populated areas of Northern Virginia and from suburban voters who are well educated indicates she is poised to continue Biden's trend of success in the state. In the state of Ohio, the latest reports show former President Trump leading by 9 points, an improvement over his 8-point lead in the 2020 elections. His popularity continues to rise, particularly among voters in economically challenged industrial areas and rural parts of the state. If this trend holds, it suggests that Vice President Kamala Harris could still win the presidency despite Trump's strong showing in Ohio. However, it's important to note that even minor changes in polling results could significantly alter the outcome of the election. Consider this. If states like Wisconsin and Michigan switch their allegiance from Harris to Trump, the Electoral College could see a dramatic 26-vote swing, potentially paving the way for a Trump victory. This scenario would force Vice President Harris to rethink her strategy and perhaps focus more intensely on states like Pennsylvania, as it appears that working-class voters may be leaning more towards Trump. On the other hand, if voter loyalty in states such as Georgia and North Carolina shifts from Trump to Harris, she could gain an extra 31 electoral votes. This shift would allow Harris some leeway, making it possible for her to lose some states like Wisconsin or Arizona but still win the presidency through the Electoral College. Such a development would underscore the growing Democratic influence in the southern United States, reflecting changes in demographic trends and an increase in minority voter turnout. These examples show how critical a few key states could be, where even slight shifts in polling could be decisive. Moreover, analyzing potential electoral results using odds rather than traditional polling offers a fresh and intriguing viewpoint. This method projects a different path from previous electoral forecasts. Current polling odds show Vice President Harris ahead in key swing states, including Nevada, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Virginia, and New Mexico. In contrast, prediction markets anticipate that former President Trump is likely to carry states such as Iowa, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Texas, Arizona, and Alaska. Despite earlier polls indicating a clear lead for Joe Biden, the last election proved to be extremely close in the Electoral College, suggesting this year's race could also be tightly contested. With the November election rapidly approaching, we invite you to subscribe to stay up to date and fully engaged with our ongoing analysis and coverage.